Tonight on Need to Know, finding hope, healing, and freedom for women stuck in the trap of trafficking, prostitution, and addiction. We'll examine the underbelly of this deadly cycle in our region. We'll also hear from those working in the trenches to empower women right here in our communities who feel lost and forgotten, and a timely call to action for our political leaders and you. Stay with us. A special edition of Need to Know starts right now. I bought a bus ticket and came with no clothes and with $30 in my pocket. That's how one survivor of human trafficking told me she was finally able to break away from the cycle of verbal and sexual abuse that persisted for years. She's what some might call one of the fortunate ones. For many others, abuse, addiction, homelessness, and prostitution are everyday realities that seem nearly impossible to escape. While trafficking and prostitution are two very real issues taking place in our region, there are ways to overcome these challenges and bring healing and empowerment to women in our community. Joining me at the desk for this important and eye-opening discussion is Sue Kirby, founder and executive director of Bright Star Community. Moses Robinson, board member and community liaison for Bright Star Community. Debbie Doenberg, a survivor and a liaison for those working on this issue and those trapped in this vicious cycle. And Celia McIntosh, chair of the Rochester Regional Coalition Against Human Trafficking. And welcome to all of you. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Moses, you joined me at this very desk 3 years ago for a special on human trafficking for Need to Know. Briefly describe for me, if you will, the current state of this issue in Monroe County.
I think that the current state of the issue of human trafficking is, I think it's pretty much still the same, because you know, you're finding young ladies who are being identified or who are being arrested, and then they're, you know, they're coming in back into being returned to the community, but they come back into the community to do the same thing over and over again. So I think it's just a vicious cycle of women who have addiction, women who are arrested, women who are returning to the streets, but the level of intervention for them is very minimum. And I think that includes that, you know, diagnosis of mental health, you know, drug screening and things of that nature. You know, maybe people are doing the best they can in terms of the criminal justice system, and I don't want to say that they're not, but I think that in terms of overall, it's still a vicious cycle for the women that are trapped in in sex trafficking.
One of the #1 responses that I got after that show, so this is after it aired and people had a chance to see it, people said to me, is there really trafficking in Rochester? It just didn't seem to sink in. And I want to know, Celia, you know, Moses said it's still the same, you know, 3 years. This issue is still the same. What is it that's causing us, or what's the challenge, rather, to break out of this cycle? You said level of intervention might be one thing, but what else can account for that?
I think mindset. You know, a lot of people don't really believe that something that horrific could be happening here, which makes them want to kind of shut down their mind to it. So they also still feel like, oh, it's in a third world country. Oh, when you talk about it, it's foreign nationals. It's not here in Rochester. Even, I mean, I'm a nurse, and even within my organization, me trying to increase the awareness, a lot of my coworkers were like, wow, I really didn't believe that this was an issue. I really didn't know. So overall, I think the biggest challenge is to get people's mind wrapped around it and say, hey, this is really happening here. And for some people, they can't fathom that. So that's one of the biggest challenges.
Whether we're talking about trafficking or prostitution, we're talking both things, as about the sexual exploitation of human beings. And then when you tie drugs into it, heroin in particular, and the Rochester area, that's when the cycle really becomes deadly. And this conversation about the mix of heroin and prostitution and trafficking, Sue, Moses, and Debbie, I was with you when you had this conversation in the Lyell Avenue area. I have a short clip from that video that I want to make sure our viewers can see. The Lyell Ave area is one of a number riddled with this issue. So we'll check this out.
You know, I think what's really significant about this area right here at South Plymouth, North Plymouth Avenue, it's a block away from the drug treatment clinic.
Wow.
And this is one of the epic centers, really, where a lot of the sex trafficking, drug trafficking activity takes place, just a block away.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just amazed sometimes just to think about that. You know, the closeness. Most of the people that really need the help, really, it's a block away.
Yeah, and they don't realize it, or do they know about it and they just aren't ready, or what keeps them from going that block?
I don't know. I mean, I could easily assume, but you know, you really don't know, other than the fact that they just may not realize, or they may not be ready.
They're not ready.
They're not ready.
They don't want to stop.
Yeah.
It's easy money. It's getting high. It's a way of life. So this is what a lot of the girls know. You know, they don't know any different. Their mothers did this.
Right.
Their boyfriends did this.
Right.
You know, I mean, I hear stories all the time about one of them, their father put him out here, introduced him to the life. Not out here, but friends of his. The mothers are junkies. The mothers have been prostitutes. That's what they know.
Right. And the whole idea that these women have chosen this life, or that they're there by their own decision. You know, that
girl grows up to say, I want to be a prostitute when I
exactly.
get the little girl does that.
Yeah.
It's not, but once they're in it, they're in it.
That's a very good point.
So it was the pimps that got them to the streets, but it's the drugs that are keeping them there?
It could be their boyfriend.
Right.
It could be anything.
Right.
But it's the pimp is the drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what people may not even realize is that before, a lot of these girls or guys who are out here as well. I mean, I think that's, again, some of the things that we need to talk about. But in this specific situation, we're talking about girls. A lot of the pain and the trauma that these girls have gone through and endured in their childhood and their adolescent development, much of that is the reason why they're out here, and it's untreated. I mean, you're talking about a serious epidemic of mental health issues that kids, and these girls, a lot of them start off as young girls. So
in your experience with working with these women, by giving them a place to come and take a shower in your home and get off the streets for a couple of hours, you feel that if they had that safe place to let down and really have the time and the space.
They had a little place, a room that was safe for them, and they called it their own. And they could put up a picture of their mother or their dog or whatever. That would be a secure sanctuary for them.
Right, right.
You know?
And not having the concern of having to pay their heat bill or their electric bill to keep the electric on. That was one of the girls that I had run into had said that she was in a program where she was able to work, but she wasn't making enough to pay for her bills. So then she was having to go out at night and sell her body to pay for the electric bill. And I said, that's not right. You know, you're trying to get well, and you're in a program that's, supposed to be empowering you, and it's not working. So what needs to change? And
I think their first thing is having a place to go. They feel safe.
Debbie, something that stood out to me in that conversation and in others that I've had with you is that you said the pimp is the drugs, the pimp is the heroin. Explain what that means.
Most of the girls out here are doing heroin. That's what they're out there for now. And they don't care if it's the fentanyl, they don't care if it's killing their friends, they don't care. They want that high, and it's not the heroin now, they're going after the fentanyl. and they're putting PCP in it and everything else, that these girls are dying, and their friends are carrying them down and leaving them. So it's the drug that's the demon of this whole thing. Prostitution's been around since Christ, okay? It probably will never go away. But the drugs are what's killing these girls, and that's what they need to get away from. It's the drugs are the pimps now.
Well, there was one young woman that you connected me with.
Yes.
Her name is Lisa,
Yes.
And she is trapped in this
Yes.
issue of heroin and prostitution.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, in an effort to protect the identities of her children, she asked that we not use her last name. But for people who are watching right now and they are thinking, why can't these young women, particularly those involved with prostitution, get out of it, get help, get a legal job? Lisa's story may help answer that question, and we'll take a look at that.
I raised 3 kids before I wound up here. That I worked at the same job for 12 years before I wound up here. You know, that I had a brand new car before I wound up here, and a home, and a husband, and a family. You know, I wasn't always a homeless drug addict. A guy beat me and broke 6 of my bones, and I got addicted to pain pills. And when my money started running out, somebody, because, well, when the doctor took me off of the pain pills, they never told me about the withdrawal from the pain pills that I was about to go through. So I started buying pain pills on the street, and they're very expensive. And a friend, or not really a friend, but told me, try heroin, it's cheaper. I tried it, and I've been on it ever since. It was cheaper at first, but it doesn't last very long.
And so that was 4 years ago, and that
4 years ago
it took place, and then it was just kind of like, was it a fast fall? And just in terms of losing, you said?
It was a very fast fall, yeah. Because not only was I physically injured, I was more mentally injured than anything. Because it just was, I just didn't understand. Oh, you know, why did he have to do this to me? You know, the mental really messed me up, you know, and that's where the pain pills became my safe haven in my own head. Daily life is a struggle every day. It's a struggle every day. I'm outside most of the time. I don't have a permanent place to stay, so you know, I don't want to impose myself on anybody, and so I stay outside most of the time. I walk around a lot. It really sucks. It's just like a same thing day or time, hour after hour. You know, it's just find a way to get some money, find a way to get some money to get the drugs. Sometimes I just want to get some money to get some drugs so I can go inside to get warm, you know. Even if I don't need the drugs, I want to go inside to get warm, so you gotta, you know, it sucks.
How do you find the money to get the drugs?
Sell myself the majority of the time, or some people want drugs who don't want people to know they do drugs, so they find me to go get them some drugs. Which, that way I like better than any other way. I wish I could rewind the clock, for one. What I want for myself is, I want to forgive myself so I can, you know, I want to get off these drugs. I don't know why I don't push myself. I push myself so hard to get them. You know, I don't push myself hard enough to get off of them.
So you think the ability to be able to do that has to come from within, is what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I have to learn how to forgive myself. I hate that I feel like I broke my family up. I feel like I don't fit in anymore out in this world. You know, this is a different world from anything you could ever imagine. It's just scary. It's very scary. A lot of people are dying. You know, bad things are happening to these girls, and it's almost like the police don't give a crap anymore. It seems like that lately. You know, when something bad happens, the girls are so scared to go tell the police because they know they don't care. They feel like they don't care. I mean, maybe there's a few that do, but the majority don't. I've seen some people drive by and they yell out, you know, whore, get off the street, whore. You know what? Why don't you help somebody out? You know, give them the little incentive to want to, you know, or like actually, I've seen, there's some woman, I don't know who she is, but I've seen her about past week and a half, and she has seen a girl, pulls over, pops her trunk, and she's got clothes in the back of her trunk, and she's letting the girls go through, and she had nice clothes in there too, you know. Instead of throwing them out or putting them in the Salvation Army, come out here and, you know, let the girls go through them. You know, the majority of them are little girls. You know, I'm going to be 38 next week, and some of these girls are my daughter's age, you know, early 20s, teenagers, you know. Hand them a bag of clothes, and believe me, they'll take it and go through it. And most of them, if they don't want it, they send it to somebody else, you know. Or even food, you know. A lot of them go hungry. Their drugs get more important, and when you're on heroin and you're sick, you're going to get your bag of heroin. If you got $10, you're going to get your bag of heroin before you feed yourself. It sucks. It sounds crappy, but it's just the way it is. And, you know, if you're driving by and you see one of the girls, hey, you want, you know, a burger or whatever, you know, they'll give them a box of cookies, anything. You know, stop thinking of us as whores or prostitutes or junkies, and we're human beings, you know. Every one of these girls wants help. Every single one of them. And if they say they don't, they're lying. I've listened and cried with to every single one of these girls. We love each other as girls, and that would be the biggest thing that I would hate to lose when I do get my life together. I'm going to miss them. It's the first time in my life I've ever had like a family of women. You know.
Something that Lisa said to me during the interview was that the only safe space where she can go and take a shower and not worry about getting robbed and getting food is your home. And this is something that you, Sue, are working on as we speak, yes, to find opportunities and places for these young women to come and have a safe place. People are learning about Bright Star Communities for the very first time in this interview. Talk about what it stands for and what are you trying to bring, and are you bringing, I should say, to Rochester?
Yes, we are creating a home, a safe place where these women are talking about where they can let down and heal. It gives them the time and the space to really heal. And the difference with our program is that there is no live-in authority figure in the home with them. So what I just heard Lisa talking about was how she'd miss these women and how they take care of each other and they love each other. That's what this program is all about, is the women living in the home together, and a pure mentorship is the model that we're using. And it's a safe place where they live for 2 years rent-free, and they receive all the services that they need to heal.
And what types of things, what types of services will be incorporated into this 2-year residential program?
Sure, it's getting them into treatment for their addiction. When they come in, they have to be clean, so they have to have detoxed, and if they're in an inpatient program, we would have a place for them to come once they come out of treatment. And then they'd be enrolled in an outpatient treatment program, so they'd continue with treatment for their addiction. Then it's looking at the mental health issue. And we have an ACE study where we're looking at where is their level of trauma that needs to be addressed. So there's trauma-informed care worked into the program as well, working with the mental health community to get them the services that they need. And looking at each woman and gearing their program for their individual needs rather than having a cookie-cutter program that's for everyone.
Got it. And this model is actually based on a successful program in Nashville, Tennessee, by the name of Thistle Farms. The founder of Thistle Farms will be in Rochester later this weekend this weekend for special events, and we'll get to that a little later. But before we move on, I want to make sure viewers can get an inside look at what a home like this can look like. So this is the Thistle Farms story, and we'll take a look at that.
Thistle Farms' residential program is called Magdalene. They're 2-year homes where women can stay for free without any authority living in the house. It's a simple model, but it's critical for survivors of trafficking, addiction, and prostitution to have both space and time to heal. We figured out when the women came that they were doing great work in their recovery and making restitution with the courts and their families. The problem was they were still dirt poor. And that's why we started Thistle Farms, the bath and body care company run by the women. We've also diversified the social enterprise. So we have this cafe, we have the studios, 480 retail outlets, and 18 global partners.
Sue, from the Thistle Farm story, we see that there's a residential component and also a social component. Talk a little bit about, is that a similar type of a model or structure that will be set up here with Bright Star Community, or are you looking for something a little bit different in terms of the social angle?
It's a similar, it's part of the model that we're following. So we're actually working with some people right now where we're looking at what would our social enterprise look like and trying to use local products, local themes to what our social enterprise will be. So we have a few different ideas going on right now, but our main thing right now is getting the house.
Got it. Any ideas where this house will be located?
We are actually working with the Vacant and Abandoned Homes Task Force with Monroe County, where they have a program they've just started where they're matching nonprofit organizations with banks that own these homes to hopefully have one of the homes donated to us. So we've been told we're first on the list, and we're just waiting to get a list of homes that meet the criteria that we're looking for.
Moses and Celia, talk a little bit about the trauma aspect. Was something that we heard in the Thistle Farms video. It's something that you mentioned before as well. How does that tie into the challenges involved in addressing this issue and really breaking the cycle of trafficking and prostitution? What are realistic ways to tie in the trauma in terms of bringing healing?
Okay. So in terms of the trauma, I mean, we have to definitely address what put these victims out here, whether it's been child abuse, because oftentimes, you know, at one recent conference that I went to, you know, like the video said, you know, her father was molesting her at home, and that's why she ended up going out into the streets, because she would rather have more control in the streets than to have this happen to her within her own home. So we have to first understand that we have to definitely treat these survivors as human beings. We have to meet them where they're at. We have to meet their basic needs first. We definitely have to individualize the care, but we have to figure out, you know, what is the actual issue that brought them there, to their addiction, to feeling isolated, to feeling numb, and it's addressing that prior child abuse. It's addressing being in those multi-levels of poverty, because oftentimes it's not, okay, you've been abused by one person, but then you know, you look and there's more layers of trauma. Yeah. You know, you go through it, you've been sexually abused by this family member, you've been neglected by that. And then another thing with trauma is that, you know, there's an attachment, a bond and attachment that starts in that childhood. Mm-hmm. That if that's broken, people have difficulty building and forming relationships. Mm-hmm. So we, like I said, so we really have to address those and try to address really those issues in terms of trauma.
And Moses, when we talk about addressing it, what does that look like? You know, where are we doing it? Where is this happening in Monroe County to kind of dig in and to do that with some of these young women?
I think we're looking at you know, conferences that are coming up in 2018. To address trauma. We're looking at creating the early intervention and trauma-informed schools in some of the county schools as well as some of the urban city school district areas. So, you know, certain organizations, community service providers are looking to address, hit the road running with identifying how trauma looks. We talked about the responders model with the city school district and identifying kids who are struggling with mental health issues and getting family court to buy into to understand that a lot of acting out behaviors and delinquency behaviors that we're actually seeing, or offending behaviors, many of these behaviors are trauma triggered. And so therefore, you know, whether it's suspensions in school, how it affects the school. But overall, you know, how are we building relationships with the people most affected or displaying these acting out behaviors with adolescents, but also realizing adolescents growing to be adults.
Well, taking place this Saturday at 10 a.m. at RIT Center for Urban Entrepreneurship is a panel discussion. All of you at this table will be involved in that discussion, as will 2016 CNN hero Becca Stevens. We saw her in the clip. She is the founder of Thistle Farms. Elected officials have been invited to this. The community has been invited to this. There is a call to action to get people involved. Why do elected officials need to be there? Why does the community need to care?
Elected officials make the laws, basically. I mean, they are the ones that need to see it. They have the funding, they have the resources to give the funding to people like you, like Sue, like Thistle Farms, like everything. They have the funding to help, instead of blowing it off as she's just another whore. You know, they don't need that. These girls need their self-esteem built back up, that they're people too. And that, like I said before, it could be me, it could have been you, it could have been you, it could have been you that were made to go out there at one point.
Well, I want to thank all of you for joining me for this special program. And we have to close for now, but this is a conversation that is continuing. To our viewers, you can learn all about this weekend's events solely focused on helping victimized women in the Rochester region. To get all the details, go to brightstarcommunity.org. And be sure to check out the work of the Rochester Regional Coalition Against Human Trafficking. You can join that effort and get more resources on the state of trafficking in Rochester. It's at their website on your screen, rrcaht.org. And that's it for this special edition of Need to Know, Rochester's News Magazine. I'm your host, Helene Bianduti-Hofer. Thank you for joining me tonight and throughout the weekend on television and online. Have a good night.